Hi, I'm James Barth from Rock Hard 4x4. Today we're going to show you how to install the winch plate tray that fits the factory steel bumper on the JL and the JT trucks. The first step when installing a Rock Hard 4x4 winch tray is to actually remove the air dam on the bottom side of the front bumper. That is done by using a 13mm socket, and there's 5 bolts across the front and 2 in here. We'll go ahead and remove them now. After we've removed the air dam down below, our next step is to remove the plastic piece of trim in between the grille and the bumper. This will not be reused. To remove this plastic panel, remove the push-in clips on each side. This can be done with a flat-headed screwdriver. Next, we're going to use an 18mm socket and remove the 4 nuts on each side that hold the tow hook, which in turn holds the bumper. You will also disconnect the electrical right here to your fog lights. We're going to go ahead and remove the 5 bolts that hold this cover in place. We're going to use a Torx T45 to do that. There's some push-in clips on the back side of here, and what you do is you just kind of push in on them and they'll remove. Go ahead and disconnect your fog lights and remove the front bumper. Now that you've removed your bumper, another thing you can do is you can remove the nut clips off of this plate that you removed so that you could put the bolts back into the top of your bumper so that it makes a nice clean install. Now go ahead and take a 16mm end wrench, remove the bolts that hold these inner frame braces in. Once you loosen them, you can take the brace out and go ahead and remove the bolt. You will only do this on the inside of the frame on each side. We're going to go ahead and install the winch tray in the back of your factory front bumper. You're going to use the 7/16 by 1 3/4 bolts. They will go through here with the steel washer on the front side. This gives it the correct spacing between the bumper and the winch tray. Go ahead and do that for both sides. The winch tray not only mounts to where the fairlead does in the bracing of the bumper, but it also mounts to where your tow hooks, which is going to go back on the end of the frame horns. A little pro tip is go ahead and install one of the nuts onto the factory bolts here. This will hold the winch tray in place while you mount the fairlead and the front mounting plate. One of the concerns we have on the factory front bumper is the thickness of metal. So with our mounting plate on the back side, we go ahead and mount a thicker plate on the front. It also covers up all these extra holes that are not needed. So you will mount the plate and the fairlead. You will use 11/16 socket on the nut on the outside and a 5/8 end wrench on the inside. Go ahead and tighten the mounting plate and fairlead using 11/16 socket and a 5/8 end wrench. Because of the thickness of the winch tray on this side, we want to make sure that the spacing is correct. Go ahead and install the spacers on each of the outer bolts. Now, because we installed this here, don't forget to take it out. What you want to do is have your assistants hold the winch in place while you go ahead and put the bumper back on the end of the frame horns. It's kind of hard to show here in a video, but what we've done is we've held the winch in place, set it on the frame, after the frame horns, because the winch is wider than the frame horns. Therefore, you have to set the winch in behind the frame horns and bring the bumper in afterwards. Now that we have it sitting here, we can go ahead and line everything up. One of the benefits of the Rock Hard 4x4 winch tray with the steel bumper is we've mounted it on an 11-degree angle. This gives us the clearance needed between the grille and the Xeon winch. Now we're going to go ahead and install the winch in the tray. You'll go ahead and move the winch around so that the bolts line up. You'll go ahead and slip the T-nuts in the bottom of the winch and the bolts from the bottom. There'll be 4 of them, 2 in the front and 2 in the back. Next, go ahead and tighten down the winch. On a Warren Xeon, the factory bolts use a 15mm wrench. Okay, now we're going to use a 16mm end wrench and remove the bolts on each side. This will allow us to install the secondary braces from your lower frame to the bottom of the winch tray. Go ahead and install the bolt into the winch tray with the brace coming down so that it lines up into these factory 2 holes. We will reuse the bottom skid plate here of your factory one with the factory hardware on the bottom side. Go ahead and repeat the process here on the passenger side. Go ahead and tighten all bolts with a 16mm wrench. Make sure you reconnect your fog lights. Now go ahead and reinstall your factory skid plate using your factory hardware and tighten down with the 13mm wrench. At this point, all your hardware should be tight on your complete install.